What we got here is 9. Look at them. 9 future position holders in the Biden-Harris administration. A couple of them are going to be exclusively for Jill Biden's staff, who I didn't even know required a fucking senior advisor or a chief of staff. Don't have any information, much information on them, but Anthony Bernal, the only thing I could find on him is he failed at a San Diego city council race, and Julicia Reynoso Pantaleon, she was a deputy assistant at the Secretary of State office during the Obama-Biden administration, so she has ties with the Clintons and an ambassador to Uruguay. So, a swamp creature. But the main ones we're going to focus on here, the 7 in the middle: Mike Donnellan, Jen O'Malley Dillon, Dana Remus, Scott Richetti, Cedric Richmond, Julia Rodriguez, who has a very interesting history, and Annie Tomari. They are all swamp creatures. They all have long history with Biden and the Democratic Party at large. And guess what? Yeah, refill that swamp, folks, because, the 7 that we're going to focus on here, they are just unlikable, and you know what? Just exactly what you expected, to be completely honest. And when I see the 4 women that we're going to focus on here, outside of Julia Rodriguez, wow, Biden really has a type, hey? Just gonna throw that out there. Yeah, so first up we got Mike Donnellan. Mike! You can't expect to work at the Biden School of Public Policy Administration, not expect us to look back at your history like that. If you're a Godfather fan, you definitely got that reference. Yeah, swamp creature who has worked with Biden for fucking ever, and he's also got another brother who will more than likely have a very cushy position in a potential, maybe, cabinet position for the new administration coming in. But first and foremost, Mike Donnellan has built a reputation as one of the most talented strategists in the Democratic Party, is sure. Before joining AKPD, Donnellan served as a senior advisor to Vice President Joe Biden, whom he's advised since 1981, 9 years before I was born. Donnellan has played key roles in the presidential campaigns of every Democratic nominee since President Bill Clinton, and has helped elect more than 25 Democratic senators and governors. Exactly what we expect from a guy who's going to come into the president's office and he's going to make some changes by bringing in guys that he's known since the fucking 80s. And one guy who he's known since 77. For over 30 years, Donnellan has been at the center of some of the most remarkable campaigns in the nation. From Governor Doug Wilder's historic victory in Virginia, to Senator Harris Wofford's stunning win over Dick Thornburgh, to President Clinton's war room, to President Obama's beat the odds re-election in 2012. Are you fucking retarded? Did you think anybody was going to vote for Mitt Romney, who was in the fucking center? Come on now. We all knew that I don't know if that would have been an upgrade from President Obama, to be completely honest. I think that Mitt Romney's kind of shown his true colors in the previous, 4 years, and he's just a sissy bitch anyways. So, yeah, but to say that President Barack Obama was beating the odds by winning re-election in 2012 is a bit of a rewriting of history. But the reason why I brought up the fact that Mike has a very prominent brother is because, it kind of sort of alludes to it there, and I did before, but here's 5 things that you did not know about Tom Donnellan, Mike's brother. He worked directly with Barack Obama, and you're going to find that is a very, very common theme 7 months into his role as National Security Council Director. So expect, because there's supposed to be more announcements and more cabinet positions later this week. Oh boy, I can't wait to see all the long faces once these people are like, yeah, you know what, I was supposed to have a job, but they just found all that voter fraud and there's nothing we can do about it. Donnellan conveyed Obama's national security advisors to complete the planning of the raid on al-Qaeda terrorist Osama bin Laden's compound, which Joe Biden was against, by the way. Yeah, he was the only person in the world who didn't think it was a good idea to go in there and kill Osama bin Laden. And he's going to be in charge of the military, folks. Apparently. He's previously served as principal deputy and national security advisor under James Jones. Good old General Jimmy Jones. I can see why he probably doesn't go by that. As Chief of Staff to Secretary of State Warren Christopher, Donilon was instrumental in laying the groundwork for the expansion of NATO. As a result, in 1999, Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic joined, and 9 more countries have joined since then. He is credited with negotiating the Dayton Peace Agreement on Bosnia-Herzegovina in 1995. And he was also instrumental in not enforcing the proper taxation and pay rates for the rest of those NATO countries out there. The only one who was actually paying attention to the rates was the United States until President Trump. So I know Tom isn't Mike, but they go hand in hand. Because Donilon's public service career dates back to 1977 when he served as a staffer in the Carter administration. These swamp creatures were the people that we railed against. All you fucking Bernie bros out there on the left were like, oh, there's too much swamp politics. But you know what? We'll just go ahead and look the other way when Bernie cucks out to both Clinton and Biden anyways and go back and support your candidate. And as it says here at the bottom, additionally, Donilon's brother, Mike Donilon, served as counselor to Vice President Biden. And of course, their entire family is fucking involved with politics because you know these creatures just fucking lurk around and get their stuffy little positions and don't do anything and just collect a government paycheck. And that's apparently what people voted for. Apparently. But back to this disturbing picture. We'll check in on what Jen O'Malley is all about. She's going to be the Deputy Chief of Staff. So that's a relatively high up there position, apparently. What did she do? She was a part of Beto O'Rourke's very wildly successful presidential campaign. A week after launching his presidential bid, Beto O'Rourke is poised to hire veteran Democratic strategist Jen O'Malley Dillon to head his campaign. Officials familiar with the discussion told CNN a move that puts former top aide to President Barack Obama at the helm of the O'Rourke campaign. So she also worked for President Barack Obama. And in hindsight, wasn't that just such a great 8 years with mass deportations, drone strikes every other day, and overthrowing governments in the Middle East? Boy, wasn't that fun? Ugh. O'Malley Dillon, a deputy campaign manager for Barack Obama's against the odds, just blood, sweat, and tears campaign, and he just squeaked by the skin of his teeth in 2012. Fuck off. Met with O'Rourke earlier this month in Texas before he jumped into the race and consequently fell right on his giant teeth. Oh yes, we're gonna take your AR-15s. The man with the moistest mouth in all of politics. Since then, the campaign raised more than $6 million on its first day, and then it went up like the fucking Hindenburg. We're gonna save Dana Remus for last because it's a really special, and I mean chin strap special, case there. So we'll go ahead and probably the most corrupt individual here, Mr. Steve Ricchetti. This fucker has been a lobbyist. He's been involved with the Democratic Party. And he's worked with, you bet, Joe Biden at the vice president's office. We'll go ahead and give you his full CV here. So he hopped into public life in 1990. Good year, but my fucking God, if you've been doing this shit for 30 years and the best you can do is be a counselor to the president-elect, potentially, possibly. Like, what the fuck? Apparently you weren't lobbying hard enough there, Steve. And before that, yeah, working with such esteemed institutions like Blue Cross, Blue Shield. Ugh, fucking garbage insurance. You know, worked in the White House as a Senate lobbyist. Set up his own shell corporation, Ricchetti Incorporated. Public strategist. Deputy Chief of Staff for Bill Clinton. And then, of course, being a counselor to old stupid Joe. But there's his very distinguished and hardworking resume if you'd be stupid enough to believe that. But let's take a look at what he's actually all about. All in the Ricchetti family. Of course they have a family full of corrupt individuals. What do you expect Biden to surround himself with? He has represented a drug company that pressured doctors to prescribe seniors an ineffective and expensive drug. A chemical company that contaminated a major water source, and a tech company convicted of bribery. He has also represented companies guilty of nearly all the corporate sins that the Obama administration has condemned in speeches and campaign stops. He also has a brother in the White House. His name is Jeff Ricchetti, and together with his brother Steve, has raked in millions as one of the top lobbyists in Washington. The pair has earned admiration and respect from K Street and beyond. So much that Vice President Joe Biden hired Steve as his new top aide, a move that seems at odds with President Barack Obama's pledge to keep K Street out of the White House. Raise your hand if you know the only president who actually kept lobbyists out of the White House. Yeah, exactly. Steve deregistered as a lobbyist after Obama's election in order to avoid the 2-year barrier. What a fucking snake between lobbying and public service. But that doesn't mean he left the world of influence. Steve continued to serve as an executive at the firm, helping to direct strategy, even as it lobbied Congress and the administration on behalf of clients, including bailout recipients such as General Motors and Fannie Mae. The Richettis have visited the White House 11 times since September 2009, meeting the administration's officials such as Pete Rouse, David Axelrod, that was when he used to have the sweet porn stash, Bill Daley, and John Kramer of the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, according to administration records. Lobbyists who have worked alongside and even opposing to the Richettis do not question his ability to be an effective leader in the White House. Steve's honest and cares about the public interest, said a veteran lobbyist who worked with Richetti in the past. The problem is not with the Richettis. The problem with the short-sighted White House approach to the whole thing. And that's what you can expect, because this will just be a potential third term of the Obama administration, which was definitely, in Barack Obama's own words, the only administration that was scandal-free. If you believe that, I have some swamplands in Florida for sale. This entire article is a fascinating read, but if we were to go through the entirety of everything that I have pulled up here for these swamp creatures, we'd be here all goddamn day, and I just want to give you the highlights. How about probably the youngest, the most high profile of these people, former representative from Louisiana, Cedric Richmond, who is going to be senior advisor to the president and director of the White House Office of Public Engagement. The fuck is that? That just sounds like a bunch of words that can be put out there for a do-nothing position. And it's good, because he is nothing but a race baiter. Go fucking figure. As Congressional Black Caucus Chair, Cedric Richmond steps forward to cut a national figure. I said figure. Over the last 18 months, U.S. Representative Cedric Richmond has repeatedly waded into the center of some of the hottest partisan political controversies, firing criticism at President Donald Trump's White House as the chairman and leading spokesman of the Congressional Black Caucus. When Trump ripped Haiti and African nations accurately as shithole countries in January, Richmond called it proof that President's Make America Great Again agenda is really a Make American White Again agenda. When was America totally a white state, I ask you? Literally, I want to know, because it's never been the case. And called for congressional censure. When Trump called football quarterback and black activist Colin Kaepernick a SOB. My lord. Richmond denounced the petty and prejudiced attack. Did Richmond also denounce the fact that Colin Kaepernick was wearing pig socks in police uniforms on the field and making the entire thing a spectacle about himself only after he lost his starting position? Yeah, but when you're an identitarian and your entire role in politics is all centered around race, I guess you don't have time to get into the nuance of things. What am I thinking here? Come on now. Richmond's tenure as the chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus, which concludes at the end of this year, has been particularly high profile. The 49-member group of black lawmakers elected Richmond as their leader in late November 2016, just as the country's first black president, Barack Obama, was preparing to get the fuck out. Trump's penchant for personal insults, many of which his critics say stoke racial tensions and pander to racists. That would be the racists saying that they stoke racial tensions, which they thrive on in order to create this hyper-partisan divide, have presented Richmond with plenty of opportunities to weigh in and response. But he's actually not paying attention, because he was one of these very fervent supporters of impeachment earlier this year. It did happen earlier this year, but instead of actually paying attention to the arguments at hand, Cedric Richmond caught watching golf during an impeachment hearing. Yeah. And this is going to be a guy who's going to have a relatively high-ranking position when it comes to the potential Biden administration. Just let that sink in for a minute. This motherfucker, who is a part of the Black Caucus, is watching quite possibly the whitest sport out there. Let that one sink in for a minute. How about we take a look at Annie Tomasini, eh? She is another long time, even though she looks relatively young. I didn't bother checking the ages on here, but I'm sure Biden would be able to give you the old sniff test and let you know within a couple of months of her age for you. So, yeah, the vice president announced today that a longtime aide and deputy press secretary Annie Tomasini will be leaving at the end of the year, in 2010, and returning to her hometown of Boston, Mass, for a position at Harvard University. She will be succeeded by Amy Dudley, who most recently served as Delaware Senator Ted Kaufman's press secretary. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Vice President Biden stuttered through the statement, Annie has been trusted and loyal member of my inner circle, I think. As well, this was 2010, I'll give him a little bit more credit. As well as a source of support for the entire Biden family. When I like to go outside and skinny dip, she'd be the one who'd hand me a nice warm towel. From her time with me in the U.S. Senate, on the campaign trail, and now at the White House, Annie and Corn Pop have been successful at every level. Her talent, tireless work ethic, and soft hands, and innate ability to bring out the best in those around her, have made her an invaluable asset to the entire office. Jill and I will deeply miss her, but we wish her the best in her future endeavors. And those future endeavors involve being the director of Oval Office operations, which means she will be in charge of very important decisions like drapes, lamp placements, when to steam clean the office, finding old cigarette butts that old Bubba Clinton left around, replacing all the W's on the keyboards if they haven't been done so already. That was a parting gift by the Clinton administration, by the way, if you thought every transfer of power was ever peaceful. Now let's take a look at Julie Rodriguez. Something glaring is left out there, but as the future potential projected, I forget what they're running with nowadays, director of the White House Office of Intergovernmental Affairs. So she'll be the one organizing things, apropos for her heritage. So who is Julie Chavez Rodriguez? Well, Julie Chavez Rodriguez is a special assistant to the president and senior deputy director of public engagement. In this role, Julie manages a team of associate directors who work with the leaders in the LGBT, AAPI, Latino, veteran, youth. How many fucking minority groups are you having here, little lady? Jesus. Youth, education, labor, and progressive communities. Over the past 4 years, Julie has worked in the Office of Public Engagement, supporting efforts to reform the nation's immigration system. In 2016. Good job. Hopefully she was one of the bricklayers down there at the wall. Julie has also worked in coordination with the White House's National Security Council on efforts to normalize the United States' relationships with Cuba. How's that working out for you? In addition to responding to the migration of Central American children and their families and their coyotes. Prior to joining the White House, Julie served as a director of youth employment at the Department of the Interior and the press secretary to former Secretary of the Interior Ken Salazar. Before joining the administration, Julie served as the director of programs at the Cesar E. Chavez Foundation. Put a little pin in that. Speaker, Latinos and Society, Program America's Future Summit. Granddaughter of Cesar Chavez comes home. Julie Chavez Rodriguez at the main office of Senator Kamala Harris's California team in downtown Los Angeles on Monday. Yes, that's Cesar Chavez, the communist sympathizer, the one who draws inspiration from Mao. Not only does Joe Biden presumptively have a spot for Anita Dunn, another fellow Mao sympathizer, he's got it straight from the fucking source there. Cesar Chavez was the founder of the United Farmers Workers Party, avowed communist, non-violent, by the way, but he definitely described himself as an authoritarian, so he's not exactly the greatest human being on earth. If you'd like to do a little bit more research on Cesar Chavez, feel free to do so, but yeah, Biden really surrounding himself with good, upstanding Americans and definitely not a whole bunch of socialists. A couple of months ago, Then Senator-elect Kamala Harris appointed Julie Chavez to be her state director overseeing operations in California. Ms. Rodriguez, 38 at the time, would give a voice to vulnerable communities, presumptively so she could point them out so Kamala Harris could lock them up. Ms. Rodriguez had experience. Her most recent job was in the White House, serving as a senior director, deputy director of public engagement, and special assistant to President Barack Obama. But she also brought a personal connection to politics. She is the granddaughter of Cesar Chavez, the great labor organizer for farm workers. Great. Just great. Better dead than red, right? But like I said, we held off for counsel to the president, Miss Dana Remus. Should I say Mrs.? After this story, that'll make a little bit more sense because, it's just so gosh darn cute. Wedding guests are flabbergasted by his surprise officiant, Barack Obama. Maybe, just maybe, the Secret Service agents gave it away. Dana Remus and Brett Holmgren sprang a surprise on their wedding guest Sunday in Washington, D.C. Only close family members knew that someone who was an important part of the couple's life, an important person to boot, was the officiant. It was former President Barack Obama. Doesn't that just put a smile on your face? The bride and groom know Obama well. Remus is general counsel for the Obama Foundation and Obama's personal office. Holmgren, her husband, worked with him at the White House as special assistant and senior director of the intelligence programs on the National Security Council staff, according to the Washingtonian. The two married in front of about 120 people and at a DC winery. Another fucking swamp creature. If you could absolutely not deduce from this list of fucking losers in the private sector, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like I said, I couldn't find much press on Bernal or Pantaleon, but the 7 that we just highlighted there are just sterling examples of swamp creatures, do-nothings, and close associates, some friends of Oz. Business as usual, folks. It'll be like the last 4 years never fucking happened. Let's hope that the continuous voter fraud that keeps pouring in every day, which I'll be getting to very shortly, uncovers something, because I don't want these swamp creatures to be around. All of these lobbyists, all of these just self-important douchebags, just in it for themselves. But remember, this is going to be the administration of change, right? 47 years, can't be wrong. Thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.